and welcome to Last Minute Hell in a Cell Rumours You Need to Know. I'm Adam Wilborn from WhatCulture, joined by Michael Hamlet and Phil Chambers from WhatCulture.
But this isn't Last Minute Rumours, Wilborn.
I know what you're thinking. This isn't the usual thing you would see or hear with Adam Cleary ahead of a pay-per-view. But let's be honest, Hell in a Cell is a complete afterthought for absolutely everyone this week.
So are we.
Instead of the usual...
Also, filming a Rumours show before SmackDown has even aired seems a bit weird.
Yeah, exactly. So with that in mind,
this.
yes, myself, Michael and Phil are going to sit around this table and just discuss some of the rumours because there's only 4 matches. I'll be honest, we all thought after SmackDown they'd add more matches to it, and they've added 1. So, yeah.
They've added more matches to Crown Jewel than they have to.
Yeah, exactly. So we are here to discuss some of the last-minute Hell in a Cell rumours that you need to know. Before we get into it, though, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But as I said, I'm joined by Phil and Michael to discuss the last-minute rumours. Let's start with the obvious one, the rumour that presumably they're going to add more matches to this card. Either, I don't know, well, it has to be on the day.
What's your source for this rumour, Wilborn?
Please God, or maybe not. Maybe, who knows? Because this could be just a takeover card, which would be great.
At Michael Hamlet. Oh, so we got what to talk about. Sorry, I thought we were doing the Twitter. It's so weird, this, isn't it? Like, right, on one hand, you can be generous to the multi-billion-dollar company with loads of staff and loads of wrestlers that can put a card together and say, it's been a busy week. We've all had those weeks at work, guys. We've all had those ones where it's like, another day.
Some things just slip through the cracks.
We have all literally had those weeks at work where it's just be like, have we not done all the wrestling? And I think that's now happening in Titan Tower. Have we done all the wrestling there is to do? Nah, there's a big pay-per-view on Sunday. It is weird, but I'm going to be optimistic. 4 matches. All good, all decent, reasonable quality potential. WWE, with backs against the wall and low expectations, tend to deliver on these pay-per-views. So I'm not suggesting that whatever they pad this out with is all going to be perfect. But with low to no expectations, there might be a couple of treats here.
Do you think there could be the possibility of a Brock Lesnar appearance here? Of course, there's a lot of discussion with him regarding being new WWE champion post-SmackDown on Fox debut. Do you think we could see him here, either with Heyman cutting a promo or perhaps even defending the title, not obviously against Kane, not that one, but against Kofi perhaps, as sort of a make good for what happened on Friday night?
Personally, I'm going to go with a no, only because they like to give you those things a bit up front, so you might actually buy the pay-per-view or subscribe to the network. I think you'll probably see Heyman giving reasons for why Brock Lesnar can't appear, but yeah, I'm not seeing a Brock Lesnar match.
So if we don't get a Brock Lesnar match, what are they going to chuck on there? The rumours are, Mustafa Ali possibly facing Shinsuke Nakamura, or
Ziggler Robert Roode versus Heavy Machinery, probably.
Yeah, it seems tag titles were the ones that stuck out to me, actually.
Yeah.
You've got, in the Revival and Rudolph, you've got 2 teams that theoretically it sounds really cruel to everybody involved, can fill 10 good minutes. Like the titles might not change hands or the matches might not mean too much, but the Revival in particular will find a story and tell it. So
there's always the Revival and Randy Orton versus the New Day that you could go back to.
Yeah, exactly. Like You've
done it before, but it'll still be fun.
I kind of think they'll put Brock on the show. I sense that there's a statement with Brock, what they're going to try and make with this title run, is that, did you notice, obviously, people, like I read on some of the great news articles on whatculture.com, and I've already watched your news because I love this content so much, that there was some fan displeasure at the end of SmackDown with Brock winning the title in the sense, just like when he won Money in the Bank, in the sense like, oh no, not again. But he's a really good heel, and are we not now at the point where this is just a response to the heel winning the title? He wins a belt, he holds it a little while, the babyface that beats him gets over. Seth Rollins twice this year has gotten over beating Brock Lesnar. It's okay to have this villain character, especially when Fox are probably paying him more to stick around. I think it behooves WWE to try and fit him in here, whether or not he comes out and he's like, I'm not scared of Cain Velasquez, and then Cain Velasquez appears and he's like, I'm pretty scared of Cain Velasquez. Or like he sells the damage of those punches, like because Kofi didn't get a lick in, and then Kofi sort of spontaneously challenges him on the night because he's a bit damaged off taking a few blows off Cain. I think it would be pretty good to use him. And you've kind of got limitless resources. If Paul Heyman wants to go out there and just deliver the daftest spiel he's ever done, he's got, 15 minutes to play with? So if it's that or a tag title match, I'm taking some Brock daftness.
How ironic is it, by the way, that the one pay-per-view where they're like, you haven't really got many matches here. The Cruiserweight Championship isn't there. Typical.
Off that goes to like another victim of the Wednesday Night War. Vince McMahon's just not had a good week with that thing.
But yeah, I sense there will be obviously more matches added. But there's also an argument to be made to just give the matches that are on there. I'd say aside from possibly the Fiend and Seth Rollins, I think that makes sense.
Yeah, you don't want that going 20 minutes.
No. But the other ones, it would make sense to just possibly give them a bit more time. Make it a 3-hour pay-per-view with just entertaining long matches. Although, as I realise as I say that, a 3-hour pay-per-view, even if you give their entrances a bit of time, that's 2.5 hours for 3 matches.
Yeah. I mean, all of the matches on there have really good stories going into it. So they all warrant having a big payoff match. They've all been built well enough to have that spot. But yeah, you've got to have something else. I mean, you can't just have them.
There is a stink of ECW's December to dismember here, isn't there? We're like, well, yeah, Hardy Boys never be good. The Extreme Elimination every week. They're going to put some other stuff on there, right? Sandman or something.
Let's move on and talk though about the 4 matches that are on the card. We'll save Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins for the end because I sense that we all hope that goes one way, but the fallout from that could be very, very interesting. Let's start with Bayley versus Charlotte Flair, the latest match to be added, of course, subsequent to Charlotte tapping out Bayley on SmackDown this week. What do you make of the rumour that Sasha Banks interferes in Bayley's match? Now, of course, when Bayley last faced Charlotte, she cheekily won relatively swiftly by exposing a turnbuckle and using that to her advantage. I sense that this could be happening again with Bayley getting yet another victory over Charlotte, but not through straightforward means.
What's been pretty cool here is that both times... So let's assume that Bayley wins, because I think Bayley's going to win too. Both times Bayley's won, those matches have been set up by Charlotte beating Bayley clean. So we've had 2 4 horsewomen tags that have ended with Charlotte beating Bayley. She proves she can do it. So there is nothing lost by Bayley kind of sneaking through the back door to get wins. I like the idea of Sasha cheating to keep the title because it foreshadows what we might get with the Sasha-Becky match later on in the card. And Charlotte as well. Charlotte winning the title now feels like too soon when it's a longer story they can tell on SmackDown. It's clear that they're going to want Charlotte, if not Bayley as well, if not Sasha as well, if not Becky as well, to be on SmackDown as the major stars of that brand. So I just sense Charlotte has kind of slotted quite nicely back into the babyface role in line with Bayley turning heel. So there's a longer story there, and Charlotte's coronation will come on a Fox SmackDown.
Yeah. I called for this to happen at the last pay-per-view. It obviously didn't happen. But I wanted originally Sasha to beat Becky. If not clean, then like relatively clean, maybe with a bit of shenanigans, but like not like outright cheating or anything like that, just to sort of cement her position as she's coming back as the boss character. Like she needs that big win. But then for Bayley to need Sasha in order to win hers. So then as you're going forwards with the 4 horsewomen, you've got Sasha is this sort of dominant heel, but Bayley is this heel that's kind of almost tagging along on Sasha's coattails, and then you can have friction between them two down the line. Then you've obviously got Charlotte as a way of coming back to the title because she's been cheated out of it. Like there's a lot of different storyline potential to go from there.
There are numerous reasons to keep the title on both of them. I think it makes far more sense to have Sasha and Bayley both have a championship each to sort of unify this awkward alliance between Charlotte and Becky. But even more so than that, Survivor Series is around the corner, and I, for one, would love to see, even if they're both heel at the same time, Sasha versus Bayley at Survivor Series champion versus champion.
I'm attending that show, and Sasha Bayley in Brooklyn was my favourite WWE match of the decade. So I don't think you'd be able to see my face on this camera if this result happened because it would just be popping all the way to the ceiling. I'm itching for that match, and when we did get it last month, I thought, great, that's delayed it 1 more month. I too want to see both belts on them around Survivor Series time because it's really, really fun watching 2 characters that know each other so well trying to like out-cheat each other. I think that could be a really quality match.
Now, the caveat for that, of course, would be Becky Lynch losing inside Hell in a Cell after, a star-making performance or, just a great rub off The Rock on the opening of this week's SmackDown. Do you see that happening? Because obviously Becky has had an incredible year.
I think it's time. I think like she's had a good run with it. Like the lead up to it was absolutely fantastic. Maybe the Lacey Evans matches haven't exactly been the best things in the world. But like the heat's kind of died down a bit, but this Sasha thing has brought it back. She's brought back that fire, but Becky's way better as a babyface that's chasing something like that feels like she's been wronged in some way, and she's going after sort of the righteous victory at the end. And I think like Sasha winning here would like get that fire back in her belly, get her chasing something different. Maybe she moves to SmackDown and she starts chasing the SmackDown Championship instead. I think there's much more storyline potential for Becky.
There's nothing wrong with heels having titles at this time of year because we're entering Royal Rumble season, and you want a bigger field of baby faces chasing titles than you do heels traditionally. So in this particular case, you're at a point where, and it doesn't even have to be Becky's year, but you want Becky to have the thirst to be in the WrestleMania main event again and to be heading into the Rumble as a heavy favourite. And if she gets eliminated, who eliminated her? There's a programme, blah, 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 blah. This is a good time of year to be taking the title off her. As Phil correctly points out, while the heat was starting to subside, Sasha's brought it right back. So this is a good time for Becky to lose rather than when you feel like it reigns in a bit of a valley. I don't feel like anyone will think less of her if she appears as this major star on SmackDown without a belt.
Like you, I was incredibly pissed off when Sasha Banks didn't win the championship at Clash of Champions. They've all merged into one, to be perfectly honest.
I think it was AEW Dynamite.
Something like that. But, it's sort of just because it's this time of year, they've put it inside Hell in a Cell. But this has the potential, Becky versus Sasha, of being match of the night, if not, one of the best matches in recent memory. Sasha's
got a couple of things to learn from the match with Charlotte, maybe what worked and what didn't work. Half of it was really good, half of it not so great. So I'd like to think they'd remember that, and they can, if they use the cell intelligently, I think this could be one of the best cell matches in recent years, because the problem with this annual pay-per-view is that matches just find their way into the cell despite not deserving it. So sometimes it lacks a bit of like that proper Hell in a Cell brutality.
Yeah.
As you point out, this feud warrants it. It's come around at the right time for this.
It's almost
program.
a complete accident when that happens.
Yeah.
But it's really nice when it does, because it's like, oh, it's actually happened and it's Hell in a Cell and the feud warrants it. It's like, oh, this actually could be good then.
Yeah.
No, the interesting thing as well is when you sometimes have a classic sort of babyface versus heel inside Hell in a Cell, it doesn't really work because the babyface utilising like the brutality of the cell, like you say, doesn't gel very well with their character. But Sasha Banks is a heel. She will do almost anything to win. And you've seen Becky...
She's never been afraid to get a little bit hardcore.
Yeah,
I think,
brawling with Sasha. The last match she lost. Of course, didn't lose the championship, but she lost via disqualification. We've seen them.
They've had the chairs out and hitting each other with chairs.
This could work
going
perfectly.
back to TLC matches and things. They've done it all. They are not shying away from sort of getting a bit hardcore.
And they're both quite brave as well.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to want this to feel spectacular and big. I still think with Hell in a Cell matches in particular, of all the stipulations they've like ensured that the women have as well as the men now, this feels like one that is still there for the taking a little bit. Still that defining match that is like, right, yes, this absolutely is now as big a women's match as it is a men's match, and they'll want that one, I think.
Part of that Sasha character as well, that like she does believe that she should be the best. Like a little bit of that is actually real. Like she was sat back at home thinking like, God, that could be me. This is the chance, Charlie.
And not to sound too morbid, but it looked awesome when she got bloodied on SmackDown. But anyway,
it looked classic.
To flip the script, is there any way instead of Sasha interfering in Bayley's match, Bayley interferes in this match?
I wouldn't rule it out. I would like to... What would be quite cool, I think, is if Bayley does and Charlotte runs her off. Because, again, I love the idea that, like, there are justifiable reasons why Charlotte and Becky find themselves helping each other
my
out.
enemy is my friend.
Exactly, yeah. I like that kind of stuff because they're being quite loyal to their long-standing rivalry at the moment. So I'm okay with that, and I think the fans would pick up what they're putting down with it. And I just really enjoy Bayley continuing to think she's not being a heel. So I like the idea of her breaking into a cell, attacking Becky Lynch from behind, and still thinking, "Oh, there's anything wrong? She cheated, right? She used a weapon. Like somebody's got to get involved."
Even if she comes down and can't get the door open or something, and then Charlotte gets her on the outside, it's like enough to distract Becky or something. But she's still like, oh, I didn't even do anything. I didn't even get in the ring.
Yeah, I'm really, really looking forward to that match. Alongside the tag match, seeing Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns taking on Rowan and Harper, of course. This arguably is the one with the biggest rumour swirling around it, and it's the longest running rumour, really, centering around what's been going on with the attempted murder of Roman Reigns.
I mean, like all great fairy tales, it's not about the match, it's about the girders and doppelgangers we made along the way. We have made it here almost in spite of everything else we've seen. I feel like I've got to be the Sidgwick Avatar today and suggest that maybe it fell apart a little bit. But we all thought we'd have probably had a Bryan Roman match by now, and we haven't. We're in a tag match situation. I don't know if the turn's going to come, but I have sort of fallen in love with the strange bedfellows team of Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. So I've reached a point now where I don't really want it to all fall apart just
I'm
yet.
really enjoying Daniel Bryan as a face who's also still that heel character. Like, he's not really changed at all from
No.
what he does. It just happens to have realigned his, realigned with Roman Reigns with
Yeah.
a face rather than Eric Rowan.
He's still a bit of a git.
Yeah.
This week on SmackDown, he went, "Oh, sod this," when Luke Harper came down.
And
I'm not having this.
His reasons behind everything are sound. He doesn't like being lied to. He said that when he was a heel. He said that all the way along.
It's the beauty of the new Daniel Bryan character was always, like, we joked about this at the time, but, like, imagine a character coming on screen with this fat, giant Royal Rumble burger and saying, "This is making the children of America obese." Boo! Like, that's a perfect character.
Yeah.
That's a perfect character.
Save the world.
Yeah, boo! Like, you need to recycle because the planet is melting. Have you heard Greta Thunberg? Boo! Like,
Don't lie to each other.
this is sort of like the perfect character that you can tweak, and then when it turns out if he is just lying all along and he's taking the beatings. See, the story, if he is on like Harper and Rowan's side, it's really good stuff because they're going to go in pretty hard on Roman. Like, you were given a second chance and you've wasted it. And Bryan can be so like, look at the beatings I took to make a point to you. They could go really big with this. But I just like the buddy cop movie.
The thing I find most interesting is I've seen online genuinely 3 different suggestions for this match. There's the obvious one, like you say, the buddies taking on Rowan and Harper and slightly ruining what has been a decent little push, especially for Rowan, we should mention. And obviously the return of Luke Harper is great, even if he's randomly shooting on Instagram. Then there's the obvious alternative, which is Daniel Bryan, as you mentioned, turns on Roman Reigns and does the "it was me, Roman, it was me" all along. And I've even seen people online suggesting Roman turns on Bryan to align himself with Rowan and Harper. And I can't remember whether or not that also said that included faking my own attempted murder or not. But the fact that the 3 options are all on the table,
the big bludgeon dogs.
yeah, it makes it even more interesting.
I want the buddy comedy to continue between
Yes.
Roman and Bryan. Like, he's having a steak, he's having a salad, he's a big dog, he's got a little. What, Phil? Can you make this, please? I just think their chemistry's really good because they're both so class.
They're just walking backstage and Roman Reigns is like drinking a can of Coke or something and he puts the can in the wrong recycling bin. The shit,
shaking his fist and chasing after him.
Why
They're in a revolving door and Bryan's thinking, "Oh, this is a waste of electricity." You know, I want a little bit more of this.
Now let's move on to the main event of the evening: Bray Wyatt, the Fiend versus Universal Champion Seth Rollins. There should really only be one winner here. As much as people have protested the fact that they're pushing the Fiend the wrong way or too soon or shouldn't have a belt or whatever, from the way that they've built this, surely the Fiend has to leave as Universal Champion here.
Yep, I've never sort of back from the idea that fans are so trained by WWE's like risk-averse booking that how are they going to get out of this one? Stop asking the question. Stop asking that question and just accept that the most over character in the company is going to win the top title. If that doesn't happen and they found a way to make it entertaining in spite of it, I'll be the first one to say, I didn't see that coming. That's brilliant. Like, really, really good creative solution. But I don't want to think like that. I want to think that the Fiend is the most vital character in this company and he's going to win that title.
Yeah, I don't see a way they can get out of this without him winning. Like, maybe there is, who knows? But yeah, I can't see it at all. He kind of has to.
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation about him. Well, maybe he destroys Seth Rollins and says he doesn't want the championship.
Crap. Absolutely crap.
I also think all this stuff they've been doing with Bray this week with like the daytime TV shows and going on and doing the weather, I think that's Vince chucking him out there going, can this work as our top guy? Like,
your alter ego is, Mr. Rogers.
And then they put him out there and he absolutely nails it and it's a really entertaining segment of a show. Like, yes, you can put the main title on this guy. You can send him out to Good Morning America and he will be
around
entertaining.
Halloween, like, this is... As we talked about this morning, like, I might have to miss a Saudi Arabia show to take my kids trick-or-treating. Oh, no.
But at least you get to dress your kids up as the Fiend.
As the Fiend and Mr. Rogers. It's gonna be class. We're going to get more sweets than anybody else because all these parents are going to be tired. Take the lot. I don't want any trouble. I'm going to be there as, like, rambling Rollins, just, like, getting beaten up by my own kids in a red dog box,
But as if you needed any more, if WWE, needed any more evidence that they need to put the championship on him next, because he is, as you said, in my opinion, I think he's the biggest thing in wrestling right now, but he's definitely the biggest thing inside WWE right now. Well, you were talking about this on the SmackDown review, the fact that the theme tune for the Firefly Funhouse gets a reaction like a superstar's entrance.
Yeah.
The whole thing, isn't it? It was the same most recently with Kofi Mania and then previously with the Rise of the Man. You just know when it's happening and they are always mad if they don't jump on top of that.
Yeah, it's great. He's looked at what didn't work with Bray Wyatt and what did work with Bray Wyatt, the old Bray Wyatt, and he's repackaged it as this, and it just works absolutely perfectly. I showed my girlfriend, who doesn't like wrestling at all, by the way, both the Firefly Funhouse segment from this week's SmackDown and then the subsequent attack on Seth Rollins. During the Firefly Funhouse thing, she was laughing, saying how ridiculous it was and like really enjoyable, like actually like thoroughly enjoyed it, about how silly it was and out there. And then during the Seth Rollins attack, she was like, I don't like this at all. This is like weird and terrifying. I don't really want to watch that with like the noises and the lights and things. And it's like, that is the absolute perfect reaction that you can get. And she does not like wrestling at all. And she's already kind of been hooked in by this weird character.
Do you know what I can't wait for as well? We haven't had this since SummerSlam. Like, how amazing was the Fiend's entrance?
Yeah.
And we've not had it. We've not had the WWE. Like, I'm sick of watching it on people's phones because it looks rubbish. Like, I want to see their pay-per-view presentation of this incredible entrance again.
Is he going to have the lantern head again? Or like, is it going to be something different?
I was Johnny Gargano on the live stream watching it like at SummerSlam. I just want some more of that.
Personally, I really want him to come out with like a Seth Rollins lantern head, and then like the lantern head, like the first one he was killing off Bray Wyatt of old. The second one he's now killing off Seth Rollins.
Brilliant. Yeah, I go for that. With the little blonde streak through there.
Now, one of the other suggestions, of course, with this is the fact that with the draft coming up, we could see Seth switch brands, we could see Bray switch brands. How do you see that one going?
Everybody's going to SmackDown. It's worked out great. They're going to make the Universal title blue. It's like every single wrestler's going to SmackDown. The 205 Live crew are going to Raw, and that's going to be that. No, that's flippant, but it feels after last night's show that's going to be how that works. I can't see a SmackDown without The Fiend. The way that they've pushed him from Monday onwards, when they were running those, like before the breakfast news came back and they were flashing The Fiend up on the screen, and how much he featured into this episode of SmackDown, I feel like once he's beaten him, it actually is worthwhile separating them. Seth has to go away and rethink this, and it's okay for him to have been beaten once and then not get another go at him, and just maybe like they can be separated for however long you want, and then when he comes around again, he's like, well, I'm not scared of you anymore.
Is The Fiend, and The Fiend's obviously switching brands as champion, a good way as well to change that awful jam belt?
Well, yeah, I think you have to. Especially if you can't have The Fiend wearing a blue belt, can you? Like that'd just be weird. However, do you see SmackDown giving up Brock Lesnar as well as The Fiend?
I don't know. This is the 1% of doubt I've got about The Fiend winning the title, if I'm honest, because it was easy
Can't have them both on SmackDown.
It was easy to imagine Seth on Raw, wasn't it? And I don't think that's to be cruel to Seth.
And then the build
Seth
of
and Becky, you're doing good. We need you on Raw.
Yeah.
But
and then Bray being on Raw, Brock on SmackDown, then the Survivor Series brought like Fiend versus Brock.
Yeah. So as we now talk about this, I realise that Brock's going to lose to Cain Velasquez on Sunday, and Kane's going to be Raw's first draft. So full time every week, all house shows, new champion. But yeah, that's the one little bit of doubt. But then the draft will allow for all sort, like they'll always make this sort of like we are the problem because we dare to like set some rules. They're like, nah, we didn't say that SmackDown couldn't have 15 champions. Raw have got the revival. It's just, I think they'll find a way to make all that work.
Final question, which is a regular.
Bring back the big gold belt, put it on Raw.
Give it to Triple H.
The regular thing on Last Minute Rumours is, of course, surprise returns. Will we see any on Sunday? I can't think of any.
Have they not shot their wad already on SmackDown?
Yes.
Look in my eyes. What do you see? A WWE backstage personality. How else to promote Fox's new biggest show by showing their big new surprise hire? Ice Cream Phil comes out with a nice, lovely suit on with one of them old little WWF logos on the side and says, I've come back to work for that. I'll go back, guys.
Vince will love that, won't he?
One more match. Absolutely no chance. I'll see you on Fox in 2 weeks.
I'll be the one on Fox dissing the product every week.
Right, let us know your thoughts ahead of Hell in a Cell and any rumours you've got in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and you can send them to us on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE. Watch there, follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Phil Chambers at
Phil My Chambers.
Follow me at Adam Wilborn. As I said, follow us all at WhatCultureWWE, and make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling for daily wrestling podcasts as well. This has been Last Minute Hell in a Cell rumours you need to know. My thanks to Michael and to Phil. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.